All right, Julie, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so hear me out. We're talking about pets.
Okay.
Moving with them, living with them in housing, all of the things. I know you think this is not going to fill
Okay.
the whole time, but just trust me.
Okay. I'm implicit trust.
Okay. So.
What do you want to talk about? We're not talking about Tilly for 30 minutes.
But she's so cute.
She is very cute.
She's recovering from surgery very well, by the way.
Excellent.
No, so I think if you're not living in housing, it's slightly easier to have pets.
Yes.
Maybe not if you're renting, but if you own your home, it's like whatever.
Okay.
And I think that when you get into those situations where you've been in a place for like a year, you kind of get some people, not all people, because not all people are pet people. Some people may be like, I feel like I need a dog.
Sure.
Or, you know what, maybe we need a cat.
Okay.
And then it just compounds after that.
Right.
Like, one cat, not enough.
Why not 7?
We need 3.
Right.
That's how I ended up with 3. We had one, like, oh, it'd be a nice pet for the boys. Let's get them a cat.
Well, then they each need a cat.
And then we were like, well, 2 is better.
Sure.
And then we go to our friend's house, who is a vet, and there's a black cat who just totally suckers John. And that's how we ended up with 3.
So, and then you were moving into housing. Are you allowed to have 3 cats when you move into housing?
No, you're not. So we had to make arrangements for 2 of them.
Okay.
Because we also had a dog.
Oh, right.
So, and everybody's like, oh my God, I couldn't choose. It was not hard to choose. Because one was crazy. And one was just a jerk. Quite frankly, I loved the one that was a jerk because it was hilarious to me, the things that cat would do. Like, John would walk by and he would just swipe at him.
Nice.
Just for no reason. He would hide behind bushes and jump out at dogs that walked by.
That's adorable.
And he attacked a dog one time.
That's even more adorable.
He was like, his name was Jester and he lived up to that name.
Aww.
So, yeah, but like we also had a dog. So, yeah. I'm one of those people like, oh, one more is not going to matter until you start thinking like, well, now I've got to move this
Right.
creature.
Well, and what if housing doesn't allow?
Well, and this is our first time with housing, so this was our first time experiencing like, no, you cannot have that many.
Right.
It never dawned on me in our collecting of these pets that I would never be able to have said pets in wherever I lived.
Sure.
Never thought about it. So going into housing, there are specific rules.
Right.
There sometimes is a limit to the number that you can have.
Yes. And
There's
the type of pet you can have.
A limit to the type of pet you can have.
Sure.
So while those bunnies look adorable, they're not allowed in base housing because it's considered exotic. Weasels, exotic.
Sure, ferrets.
Skunks, raccoons, all exotics.
Raccoons just should not be, but go on.
Raccoons are just part of the family.
Raccoons
They're like
should be loved
another
by
child.
all. Carry on.
Reptiles, not allowed. Which I ain't fighting them on that one.
I'm not either.
That's a good rule.
It's all fun and games till the tarantula is missing.
Exactly. Or your boa constrictor gets out.
Right? And you're on the 3rd floor.
Yes. So, yeah, there's all these like different rules once you get into housing as to what you're allowed to have. And I think most people just kind of float along, not thinking about, well, I may end up in Coast Guard housing at some point.
Well, right, because there are only a handful of places, genuinely, where there is Coast Guard housing available. And so you go so many tours not having to worry about housing, and then you get to a tour like here in Cape May where or even Staten Island, where they say you have to live in Coast Guard housing. You are not being released.
Well, and a lot of rates, like as in aviation, there's 2 units with housing that I know about.
Right.
And one is Puerto Rico.
Right.
And the other one's Hawaii. So they're islands. So like trying to move your animals to an island.
That's overwhelming.
And it's an easy thing to be like, well, we have 5 animals. We just won't go to Puerto Rico.
Right.
Oh, well.
Right.
There's a lot of other options.
Exactly.
But for other rates, like anybody in the boat community, security, stuff like that, there's a higher chance that you may go. There are more units.
Right.
That have housing. Staten Island has housing. Cape May has housing.
Exactly.
Hawaii has housing.
It does.
I want to say... And you can always also live in other... branches housing, right, if you can get in. So if you have a Navy base nearby, you could live in Navy housing if there's room for you.
Right.
So I always feel like just be aware of what you're collecting that breathes and eats and poops.
Right, and barks.
Kids are hard enough.
And I'm gonna be honest. But when we were in Coast Guard housing, we were on the first floor, and it wasn't like in Cape May where you had a third, a second, and a first floor that were yours, and then you shared a wall with somebody.
Right.
We shared walls and ceilings and floors with people. Now, we thought we were high-fiving the world because we had the first floor, and we were like, that's awesome. We don't have to worry about how loudly we stomp. But what we didn't realize was how loud the people above us who tried very hard to be quiet. Their animals were lunatics. And the moment they walked out the door, those dogs barked from the moment the door closed until the moment somebody got home again. And when you have a baby, that is exhausting.
Yeah. And zoomies.
Oh my gosh. Zoomings, barking. Somebody would open the door and go up to the third floor. The second floor dog was a lunatic, thinking, oh my gosh, my person is home. It was endless and frustrating, and there's nothing you can do. We couldn't complain. I mean, what are they going to do? Get rid of their dog?
Exactly.
No.
So, I guess that's true if you live in an apartment situation as well.
Right. Yeah. You have no idea what your animal is doing all day long.
While you're gone.
Exactly. And you can have a Ring camera and check in on them, and that'll be the moment that they're being perfect little angels. But the moment someone above them takes a step, that dog is barking.
Yeah.
The moment somebody below them knocks something over or their kid laughs, that dog is barking.
Oh, yeah.
And it is so annoying.
Oh, it's very annoying. And then also the whole, like, letting them out. We're lucky we have a fenced-in area that we can let our dogs out in.
Sure.
But not everybody has that.
Right.
Even here, there's not a whole... I mean, there is little fenced-in areas, but depending on the size of your dog, and some people have some really big dogs,
right,
those can fill up really quick if you're not quick to pick up after your dog.
I'm totally with you.
So, and then you're not just having your backyard smell. Your neighbors got to deal with that.
Yeah,
and
a gentle breeze. You're all experiencing it.
Yeah. So, there's the... Yeah, and then our cat... loves to go outside, and here it's not as big a deal. Here people know that he's our cat.
Sure.
But he is a hunter and he likes to hunt stuff, and sometimes he can go kind of far away, but I know that that's like just his nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with taking the chance,
right?
And instead of having him sit and scream at us to let him out.
Sure.
And get angry. So...
Right, and then you have to worry, like... I'm not saying you have to worry. I'm just saying, like, the global you have to worry. What is happening to your cat on the outside? Is your cat going to get run over?
Yeah.
Is everybody else responsible for your cat?
No. I will say...
Like, dodging it, feeding it. What is your cat doing at my back door? Like...
Yeah. And for me, personally... I'm like, nobody else is responsible for my cat. If he gets run over, that's on him. I will miss him dearly. I love that cat so much. He sleeps next to me every night.
Right.
He, is the sweetest cat. Goose.
Yeah, Goose is adorable.
He's adorable. He's amazing. But I also am like, he wants to be outside. It's kind of cruel to... make him stay inside when that's not where he wants to be. He just likes to be outside.
Right.
Yeah. But also, what kind of damage do pets do to housing? Like, you have to consider that too. Like, are they going to tear up the carpets? Or are they going to pee everywhere?
Are they going to bite the walls? I had a dog it was a Shiba Inu, and it loved to eat wood.
Yeah. Well, all dogs like to chew on sticks.
Oh no, I'm saying like one day I came home and it had tunneled into not the mattress, but the box spring.
Oh, yeah.
And had devoured all of the wood in our box spring.
They like untreated wood.
It was insane. That dog terrorized me. But what is your dog destroying apart from the carpet?
Right. Well, like moldings. If you have a dog that drools, the walls.
Sure.
And cats, they mark stuff up all the time.
Oh
they
my gosh.
use walls as scratching posts.
Well, and once a cat has peed on the rug...
Oh, yeah, that's not coming out.
It's there forever.
Well, even other dogs.
Sure.
So, when we moved in, Boone our other dog that we had, immediately went into what is now the boys' room and peed.
Just mark the room.
What? Because he was like 5, 6. And
Sure.
it's like, what is going on? Like, why is he... Because he never has accidents in the house. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, there was another dog. There had to have been another dog that just peed in this room because...
Yeah, he needed to be the alpha.
He needed to mark it.
Sure.
And he did that twice. We got a carpet cleaner. We sprayed it. We cleaned it. Like, I have one of those little spot cleaner things to clean up.
But that doesn't even get down to the padding and the baseboard and all that.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm not worried about your dog. I'm just saying, when you think about how many people live in your particular unit before you got there, and the collective animals
scents and smells and the animals and everything that's left behind, yes.
They can replace the carpet 100 times, but if they're not going all the way down to the floor, I mean the actual floor.
Yeah. And I'm not saying don't get pets.
Right.
I'm just saying...
Considerations.
Yeah, and this is more about me personally. This is not directed towards anybody. I just want to say, and I'm not telling you to not get pets. For me personally, I am trying to be more conscious now of what we're getting as part of the move.
Right.
Our living situations. Like, we had a big dog. That's difficult in the way we live. We have a small dog. That's easy. Small dogs are the easy button.
Yes.
Because they fit everywhere.
Right.
It's not hard. And my dog's adorable. She's like a little teddy bear. And so, yeah. And like, because prior to that, John was always like, no little dogs, no little dogs, never a little dog. And I'm like, why can't we have a little dog? He's like, and now he's like, you are absolutely right. Yeah. Little dogs are the way to go.
Well, sure. Because, you think you're starting your Coast Guard career. And let's say you get a dog. Yeah. And we'll call it a big dog because everybody loves a lab or a golden retriever or even a German shepherd. And they think, well, my spouse is going to be on a ship. I want something at home to feel safe and secure and protected. Yeah. So I'm going to get this big dog. And, this big dog is going to love our growing family as we decide to have one. And you don't consider that someday you may live in housing. Someday that dog may be on a list of dogs you're not allowed to have because it's considered a breed that's dangerous to people in housing. Yeah. And you're like, I have the cutest, most lovable German shepherd there is. And they're like, that's okay. Thanks. You can't live in housing.
Right. Or now you're out on this apartment or you can't rent this house.
And now you're out on the economy and you are living paycheck to paycheck because the economy is way more expensive than living in housing. And that's a consideration. And you've got this dog for 15 years. One day you decide, you know what, it's way too expensive living in out on the economy. We're going to live in an RV. Well, now you have a huge dog in a tiny RV. And who's to say the RV park allows that kind of dog? Yep. And maybe you have 3 dogs and they only allow 2. So these are all huge considerations as you transition throughout your military career, as your family expands, as you're going from one duty station to the next, housing, apartments, renting a home, living in an RV, going
if your
back.
Spouse goes on deployments, you also have to take in consideration, what are you going to do with the dog when you want to go out of town?
Right.
Or when you need to leave or go do something.
Oh my gosh, are you going to be that guy that's like, hey neighbor, can you watch my dog for me every 15 minutes? Because I took on a responsibility that maybe my lifestyle didn't allow for. Or my job. I mean, what if you have to start traveling for work?
Because a lot of single people may be like, I want a dog. And then it's like, you're in a job where you go on deployments.
Right.
For, 3, 4, 6 months. And then what happens to your dog?
Right.
So, and I know that there are organizations that help find homes for people who are going on deployments like that, and will take the dog temporarily, but
then who are you leaving your baby with? Oh my gosh, that I would have more anxiety about that than anything.
yeah.
That's like when you take your dog to a boarding
Oh my
facility
God,
and you think, oh, it's getting socialized and it's having play dates.
I will
and
say
things.
we had an amazing boarding place in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but you don't know. You never know. You just risk. And
Yeah.
now they've got that disease that's going around
Yes.
all the kennels. Oh my gosh, this is anxiety. I mean, level 10 anxiety for somebody like me who panics about everything anyway.
Well, and like cats, you can't, I mean, you can board cats, but do you know it's actually, like, they can get sick from boarding.
Yes.
There is a thing that they can get from the stress of boarding.
Mm-hmm.
Or from being left alone too much, even.
Right.
If it's a really nervous cat. Now, to say that, I do know people who have had big pets, like my friend who's the vet. They have moved, let's see, from Jacksonville to Virginia to Jacksonville to Seattle and back to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a vet, so she has a lot of pets.
Sure.
She has, let me see if I remember everything, because it's 3 dogs, 2 or 3 cats, a chinchilla, 2 birds, I think now.
They own a house, though, right?
They own a house,
Okay.
and they have always lived in the economy. And so, but they have to make sure that they have a house that allows, or they buy, so that
Sure.
they know that they have something for the animals.
Right.
They have guinea pigs, I think, and that might be it. But I know through the course of, like, knowing her, like, she's had a squirrel that she's had to, take care of.
Mm-hmm.
They've had, because, as a vet, she kind of collects
Oh, of course.
stuff. Like, our cat Goose, we got him from her. So, she collects, like, one of her cats was, like, at death's door.
Aww.
She's fine now. They
Oh,
never
that's good.
expected her to make it.
Oh, God.
She's
No,
happy
like
as can be.
a
And
new collection.
but, because Susie's a vet, she gets to, like, do all these things. And
Yeah.
so, like, it's nothing for her. Oh, my dog needs surgery. Okay. If she can't do it, she has a colleague who can.
That's wonderful.
So, that's not but that's kind of a special situation. And that
Right.
is something that they always are like, and her husband's always just like, yeah, it's another animal.
Got another one.
Another one. And he's not always on board. Like, he's not always in love with the animals that she brings home.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just who she is. So that's just part of what it is.
That's funny.
And then we both know, I don't know if you ever met, there is a spouse that I don't know if you ever met her or not.
Probably not.
Maybe.
You're the extrovert.
But she came to Guardian Spouses once.
Oh my God. I don't know if anybody can hear my stomach growling. I apologize. I will try and take that out in post.
But they had horses.
No, I know nothing about this.
And they would move horses. Like, so they always would have a horse or two, and they would move horses. So they, like, talk about trying to find a place.
I cannot even imagine.
Like, if you're not
adding
finding
that
a house
stress.
that has acreage that you can put a horse on, then you're
Right.
finding a barn that you can rent space for your horse.
That is a level of stress that I can't. So you think about we're moving.
I think she's a big animal vet, too.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because
Yeah.
you have kids and you got to find school. And
Yeah.
doctors and dentists and a stable.
A stable. But it's possible.
Sure.
But that would always be a part of your...
Like we can't go to Hawaii. Sorry, kids.
Yeah, you're not going to Hawaii.
Right? We can't go to Alaska.
No.
Sorry.
Well...
No, I would not try and get my horses.
It depends. You couldn't go to certain spots in Alaska, but you
Right.
could drive around. But nobody wants to have a horse living in Alaska.
Nobody wants to drive a horse trailer.
Yeah, you're not
up
going to
to
Puerto
Alaska.
Rico. Guam, that's out.
Right?
Like, anything overseas, you can just... Yeah. Sorry, honey, you're going without me.
So there are definitely considerations to make when you are becoming a dog, cat, exotic pet mom, dad person.
Yeah, and I love animals. I want a ton of them. I want all kinds of animals. I want chickens. And I don't want like the plain kind. I want the fancy kind with
the fluff,
the big
with the
fluffy
mohawks.
head.
Yeah.
And I want ducks. I really tried hard to convince John to get me ducks.
I know. I thought you were gonna.
I thought I was close. And he was like, "No." He's like, He's like, I of all people cannot have.
Because he's housing.
Yeah, ducks in housing. They're not allowed. Like, but why not? They're just wild animals walking around. Nobody would know.
Right, there are ducks outside. Nobody would know.
He's like, they would know. It was that nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
There'll be signs.
There'll be signs. They're loud.
This is true. Yeah, don't be that guy with a duck that's honking.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, but it's so cute. You go to Tractor Supply. They have all the little ducklings.
The little baby squeakers.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I'm like, but I want a baby duck. No. So.
Hey, maybe in your next place.
Maybe, but then we would have to move them back. And you can't move a duck.
No, because they're going to take flight. They're going to find.
They're going to go right back to where you got them from.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's where they would go. Nope, this is not home.
Well,
that is.
I'm going to make friends with whoever moves into the place where when you leave me one day.
Yes.
And I'll keep a track. I'll keep eye on your ducks. Right? I'll be like, look, these ducks come with the house.
Exactly. Yeah, because, like, I want goats.
I do, too. Can you get the fainting ones so that I can run and clap and watch them all just drop? Please get fainting goats.
And the little baby pygmy ones so you can do yoga and have them crawling all over you.
I don't want that.
That's so weird.
I watched a group of people do that once, and they were in pain from the goats, like, scrambling to get up them, flipping them in the face, and that did not look...
Like, could you imagine if you're, like, in pose and the baby goat comes and, like, headbutts you?
No. No, and it's trying to get up on the people, and it's, like, hoofing them in the spine.
Yeah.
No, that's not relaxing.
No.
That's not how I picture my yoga.
That's the opposite of yoga.
Right? Like...
Yeah.
No, thank you. Please don't get one of those goats. Get the fainting one so I can be like, hey, and then have it just drop.
Yeah. I saw a meme where someone said telling my husband to get the new weed whacker out of the truck, and he opens the truck and it's a little baby goat. It's like, John, I need a new weed whacker. Need a weed eater. And he's on board. Like, he wants all those things, but it's always when we retire.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not soon enough. I want it now. I told him, sometimes I feel like Veruca from Willy Wonka.
I want it now.
I want it now, Daddy, now. Very much so.
Veruca.
John's like, who's Veruca? I'm like, how do you not know who Veruca is?
Gosh.
Come on. Like, there's a band named after her.
Right?
It's like, come on.
Well, he wasn't listening to that music.
No, he was not listening to that music.
Well, I didn't think we were going to fill all this time talking about pets.
I told you we would.
I know. I didn't see it coming. I should have known better.
Of course.
Should have trusted the process.
Yes.
So it's important as you acquire your four-legged and slithering and crawling animals to consider what you're investing in.
Yeah, and what you want your career to look like.
Right.
Because, like, right now you'd be like, if you're not looking 2-3 duty stations ahead as to where you want to move to or where you want to advance,
right,
then maybe you need to, if you decide to get pets. If you're making the choice, like, oh, we were going to get a dog, just take a heartbeat. Don't fall in love with the little dog that you see that's, and then think, like, okay, but where are we going to be in 3 years?
Right.
Where do I want to be in 3 years?
Right.
And maybe be like, maybe not right now, or I don't know.
I know, and it's hard to tell your baby. No, I'm sorry.
It's so hard to say no.
You can't get that adorable little thing that just looks like it's going to love you and snuggle you all night. But
yeah.
We have to think about where we're going to be living.
Yeah.
We're not living.
Are not living. And it's hard. And I think that's one of the worst parts sometimes about living this life that we live is like
the sacrifices.
There are sacrifices.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have long-term, like, we're not planting gardens.
You're right.
To see things, like, we're not planting trees in the hopes that in 5 years, 10 years, we'll see the benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
not.
We're just scattering seeds and walking away.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, join us next podcast in a couple of weeks where we talk about probably other sacrifices we're all making and commiserate with us on that. Thanks for joining us. Hey, thanks for taking a moment with us, the Mommandants. You can find us on our website at mommandantsmoments.com.
We also have social media, so you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, all with Mommandants Moments.